Okay. Good evening. Welcome to our regular February 2nd Groundhog Day board meeting. We'll begin by introducing board members, starting over here.
Jim Lombridge.
Diane Potter,
Matt Marshall.
Megan Carlson, Becky Fless,
Tony Beat. Chris McGlellan.
Nicole Medor,
Matt Lillibridge.
administrative staff.
Pat Hopkins, superintendent.
Karen McGuire, Director of Technology. Karen Lee, Principal of Operations. Nikki Duty, Principal, Riverview Community Schools. Angela Hardy, Director of Curriculum. Sarah Sims, Principal, Garden Regional Middle School. Andrea Tisch, Business Manager.
Dave Dostey, Director of Lombridge.
Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Seeing no public in attendance, I just want to remind everyone that we have an abbreviated schedule tonight as we're trying to get to the play by 6:45. Also, our committee reports, we will not go through committee reports as all the minutes are in your packets. They're also online for the public if the public should want to read them. Also, if public is interested in a deeper dive, all of our meetings are live streamed and on our website as well. So, and if there's any other questions or comments that you have, just reach out. We can snail mail, email, whatever you all need. And so we will go forward as quickly as possible, but covering in depth as much as is on the agenda. Review and approval of agenda minutes. Sorry, it's okay. Prioritization of items and alteration of the established agenda format sequence as needed.
Sorry, I'm trying to move right along. So we've already sent out one revision. I have a couple additional changes. That includes on page 3 under general information. We have just hired Jennifer Carver for an Ed Tech 1 position in life skills at Gardner Area High School. And under my report, I'm also going to update you on the status of the school resource officer position and the status on our strategic planning process.
Fantastic. Motion to approve agenda minutes as altered.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Matt, second by Diane. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of the agenda, approval of minutes of previous meetings. The regular board meeting of January 5th. Motion to approve
So moved. Second.
by Tony and Jim. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. No recognitions and celebrations. Correspondence as written. Okay, committee reports.
We do have, if we can just pause for one quick moment under committee reports, Capital Area Tech Center Advisory Committee, it says no meeting, but there was an open house that Jim attended.
Yeah, actually, we don't need to do that.
Okay.
Since we're gonna do a presentation, we'll just do that at the next meeting.
Okay,
Thank you.
great.
Okay. I have one quick question.
Sure.
Where's the corresponding letter C? You just hired it.
Yes, but due to some family issues, she's had to resign.
Good catch. All right.
You're gonna do the policy piece for the,
Yes, we have to do the policies. Yeah.
So, policy committee met on January 5th and brought forward, let's see, 2 bundles I'd like to offer. So one for first reading, we'll go through that, and then there's a second reading as well. So, if I could please, if I could make a motion to submit the listed policies as a bundle for first reading.
The second. Did
That
you
is
wait
a
to-
second.
Oh, you made one, I'll second. Yeah.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
All right, and I will make the motion for the second reading for that second set of policies as listed.
Second by Matt. Questions or comments? All those in favor? We should get our rhythm right around, 6:42. All right, we have no student reps tonight.
They just sent me a report. Okay. Let's see. The civil rights team is preparing Valentines to give out to all students to show that everyone is valued in the school. The team is also working on a plan to have monthly vigils to allow students and community members a chance to share intentions and hopes for the future. Their other main focus currently is planning a project for March around the theme of inclusion in conjunction with work done by the Special Olympics organization. The Gardner Area High School Interact Club hosted a paint night fundraiser with Nicole from Artful Nights, Maine. 22 community members and 18 Interact students had a fun time painting, and $360 was raised for Interact projects. The 2023 induction will be at the Gardner Area High School February 15th from 6 to 6:45 with a potluck dinner afterwards for Interact club members, their families, and their guests. Student Lily Williger had a poem titled "The Welcoming Poem" uploaded to the Torch, a statewide civil rights newsletter. She created a beautiful poem for the day of welcoming. And the poem reads, on the occasion of Gardner Area High School Day of Welcoming, November 4th, 2022. Feeling overwhelmingly fulfilled after meeting eye to eye, random unexpected gestures of pure love. I am who I am for me. Equity dressed in beauty. Normalize admiring differences. Desire and you will be. Show your true colors effortlessly every day. Partnering with peace. I am powerful. Nice. That's her report. Or that's their report.
That's a wonderful poem. Love that. Yes, well read.
Oh, thanks.
All right. Administrator reports revised.
There is a revised report from the first time. I'm not sure how do you want to proceed. Oftentimes we have the administrators read them all. Do you want them read? If so, I think Vicky is going to read for pre-K.
Sure. I think we have time.
Okay, I'll read for all four schools. LER. Noteworthy, you hired a new nurse and she begins on Monday. For the time being, she will help cover review until our nurse is able to start meeting. The challenge at LER, the students have completed all the January testing for the early bird NUIA and iReady, and teachers will be needing to review the data. They've been implementing MTSS plans for 19 kindergarten students and will need to determine Title I services in the next few weeks. Kindergarten teachers have been providing additional support and progress monitoring student achievement on early literacy and math skills. Riverview, noteworthy. We've just finished up NUIA and iReady testing as well, and we will be spending this week and next analyzing the data to best support the students in the second half of the year. Students did their very best, and we had almost 100% participation with both of the tests. We're celebrating 100th day of school on February 13th, provided we have more snow days. Here's an addition to ours. Becky McLaughlin, one of our third grade teachers, was just awarded the State Teacher of the Year award through the VFW. She was recognized for creating lessons for her students where they learn about police across America. They write letters to veterans and they study the American flag around Flag Day. She's now in the running for the National Teacher of the Year through the VFW. She's being presented an award Wednesday at our school in the VFW for comments. Anybody is welcome. The challenges are the same. Staffing is challenging. We're still down to special ed tech and waiting for the nurse to start. HT, noteworthy, the Winter Kids Challenge wraps up this week, and HT will be hosting a closing ceremony tomorrow. The winter games have been a lot of fun for students and staff, and it's especially exciting to get some snow for snowshoeing at school. At the time of this report being written, HT is tied for second place. Challenge, the main entrance remains closed and a temporary tunnel continues to provide pathway access to the offices in New York City. This challenge was first reported in December and continues to require patience and creativity to maintain our regular daily routines inside and outside the building. We look forward to work again to restore the ceilings, reopen the lobby, and resume our regular traffic flow HT. Houston Randolph, noteworthy. Despite Mother Nature's best efforts, they were able to have 98% of their students complete the I-rating math winter assessment. As a school, our percentage of students who were on or above grade level increased from 15% at the beginning of the year to 35%. Our percentage of students who are 2 or more grade levels below dropped to 12%, down from 20% at the beginning of the year. Challenge, the reading system is unpredictable and they're waiting for parts classrooms when we should hold.
Repaired.
I don't know that I need to be near a microphone.
We believe in equity.
There you go. So at GRMS, noteworthy, Johnson Hall brought resident artist Tom Wall, a renowned juggler and author from Maine, that has even performed research installations for an assembly. We were also able to get some donations of juggling balls from the healthy campus area in order to promote healthy moving and get students even more excited about moving. So they can check out the book and check out some juggling balls to go with it. So it's pretty fun. The performance was incredible. Energy was contagious. We have also seen some students really interested in pursuing it further. So it's all about getting them busy. We have another guest speaker coming up in February. Tina Glenn is a renowned adventurer and climber who does all of these incredible feats without the use of his legs. So this ties into some curriculum with the 7th grader book that they're reading. And so he's going to come and share his experience as becoming this amazing climber with limited capacity. So we're really excited about that. Challenge, snow days, although unavoidable, have definitely made the transition to the second semester a little rougher than it would have been otherwise. Stop and start and sort of impacted some of the snippets and rhythm of the weeks, but otherwise, no real challenges at this time. At the high school, noteworthy, they just finished semester exams despite several delays due to the weather, and it started the second semester. Students in grades 9 to 11 will begin the process of registering for 2023-24 courses starting next week during class meetings with guidance counselors and a representative from the CATC. We have also scheduled staff from the HCCA to present information about the risks of using the various forms of vaping devices during upcoming class meetings for all grade levels, and no significant challenges to report. Adult education, noteworthy, new administrative assistant, TKR, begins on January 30th. TK comes to us with a great amount of experience directly in adult education. Challenge, keeping up with all the course details, testing, learner and teacher needs, and administrative duties amid staff turnover and multiple snow days was quite enough challenge for a while. Athletics, noteworthy, girls basketball player Lizzie Gruber scored her 1,000th point and also grabbed her 1,000th rebound. Lizzie is only the second girls basketball player in school history to score 1,000 points in her high school career and might be the only girl to ever have over 1,000 rebounds. Challenge, the numbers for boys tennis are beginning to trend upward. Our boys tennis team numbers fell below the policy minimum number of 7 for the last 2 years. Last year, it was requested that the school board grant an exemption and allow the boys tennis teams to play, even though they only have 3 players. Last week, I called down. You called down. Anyone interested in playing boys tennis? And got 7 student athletes who want to play. So they're hoping that they can get a few more players to help bolster the numbers. But sustaining a boys tennis program is certainly a challenge right now. If the numbers fall below 7 for another 2 consecutive years, they would look to form a cooperative boys tennis team with another school.
Thank you.
Guess it's Angela by default.
Business office. The district is received with CD 279 from the state for the 23-24 school year. MSAD11 is needed to receive approximately $135,200 in additional funding. from state aid. Challenge was previously reported based on the increased workload. Business office continues to struggle at its current. Technology department has been working to support staff and students during the winter pandemic. They funding to upgrade support programs and legal reports for the main Department of Education and prioritize requests to build a budget for the upcoming school year. The challenge, 3 solutions were presented by our home member to solve the communication issues in the schools. We're considering options and asking vendors to submit. Special services, we filled an open ed tech position in our high school life skills program. Saw that on your agenda. And the challenge is it continues to be a challenge to fill open positions. We have a teaching position at Randolph, on it, Gardner Regional Middle School, as well as an ed tech position in our high school life skills program. Additionally, frequent staff absences continue to be a problem. In curriculum, as noted earlier, it's our mid-year check on student learning. We participated in early literacy screening, math screening, upper elementary and middle school screening, and math literacy. Teachers are working in the building to analyze the results of the instructional planning accordingly. The challenge is with the ongoing implementation of a refined complex here system for additional time needed for investigators to work collaboratively with teams. Coaches, their administrators, me, and others, your policies have been using relief time, thanks to our substitutes to ensure that we have focus on instructional learning time. Results of the sessions are very positive, yet always with the strain on the teachers from them. We are grateful for the support and hope that we continue to build an active substitute into the operations. We have a new sub custodian, Ike McLaughlin. He'll be helping out to cover second shift action. We've had a few calls this month inquiring about bus driving. One has their bus driving license and the other will be started from scratch. I'm hoping we can attract both for the next school year. As stated by Princeton School, we've had a few heating issues across the district. Some are easy fixes, others are not. We're still challenged with finding parts for equipment and time. The weather has been a challenge. I cannot remember a time in the past where we've had 3 snow days in less than a week. Ice on the walks and parking lots is always a problem. Staff and students need to wear correct footwear for the conditions. If it's wet and shiny, walk around. And food service. We finally received and installed a new steamer at Riverview. We've had problems with getting the wrong one delivered, correct one delivered last July. It's nice to have it there and be able to use it. And the challenges, we've really had no challenges. Snowstorms have interfered somewhat, but my staff jumped in.
And I'll just give a shout out to Gabe when he talks about the weather. I think most of you know that, I'm up at 4:30 making the call. Gabe is up at 3 o'clock and he's already out plowing and maintaining the parking lots and giving me advice. So when we're out for 3 snow days and such a short period of time, that's really tough on Gabe and his crew. And I just want to do a shout out. They've done an excellent job in making sure that we were ready for school. We've had a number of delays, and that's only because they were out there getting started so early that we were able to bring kids in that day at all. So kudos to Gabe. We're really appreciative.
Thank you, Gabe. What time do you go to sleep at night? I was worried you would say that. Well, thank you so much. We'd be lost without you. All right, next. No wellness. No Hope Field. General information,
Just as written.
nominations.
Yes, really excited. We do have 2 nurses. I'm bringing forward Jacqueline O'Donnell, whom I believe has started. And she is a resident of our community. So this year she will be at the Laura E. Richards School. And then we also have a very experienced school nurse, Monica Jimenez, who will be joining the Riverview School this year in April. She is moving from California, but they were already intending to move to Maine. They've just kind of sped up that process a little bit. And so we're really excited to have her join us as well. So we do need board approval for these 2 hires.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Tony. Questions, comments?
Where in California? You know?
Wherever Virgil Hammonds used to live.
We can Google
Same
that
school
later.
district. It was his school district. so that's all I
Virgil, if
know.
you're watching, please text somebody and let us know where you used to live.
I'm just excited.
Yes. And Virgil's a great guy, so
Yeah.
I'm sure this is a wonderful human.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Great, thank you. No new business, old business.
Old business, want to update you on the status of the trip to Peru. That has been changed. And the crew is now going to Spain. So wanted to make sure that you were aware that change had occurred. I think the parents and the students who are going are really looking forward to the experience, the cultural experience that they will have in Spain. And like Morocco, right? You're going?
Yeah, so it's Spain, we do an excursion to Morocco. And actually, we're gonna end the trip in Portugal. Days in Portugal.
Nice.
Yeah, right. I'm on my way now.
Are you sure? Okay, that's great. Board chair, none, except I would love for you guys to continue to familiarize yourselves with our policies. Just when you're bored at night, need some help falling asleep, read the policy manual just so that we know what we've got and familiarize ourselves with those things. That's it. Superintendent's report.
Okay, let me do two easy ones first, and I forgot to add one when I made an adjustment at the beginning of the agenda. I want you to know that today we received official word from the Department of Education that they are approving one of our applications for a revolving renovation fund. So they are approving the asbestos abatement here at the high school that will replace all of the flooring in the cafeteria, some of the hallways, the little gym, it's not called the little gym, it is.
It's a little-
Um,
yeah, a little-
So
Yep.
we submitted a project totaling $258,715. They will pay just shy of 69% of that, or $177,918, leaving us to pay only $80,797, and we can spread that over a 5-year period. So Andrea will be working with the bond bank and bringing this information back to the finance committee. I just wanted you to know, this is great news. Right? It's great news.
And that includes abatement?
That's the abatement of the asbestos.
That's
The
great.
tiles are asbestos.
Yes,
So
yes.
it does require special abatement.
Yes.
And of course, installation of the new tiles.
That is,
So-
that's just,
So that's
that's
something
great.
that would have to happen over the summer.
Yes, yes.
That's great.
The other piece of information from the Maine Department of Education, we've been keeping them busy this month. I submitted the request for an alternative schedule to make up December 9th at the middle school. As a reminder, the middle school closed one day because of illness there. And I just received approval this week. And they have granted our request. So we're all set in not having to make up a special day. We will use the flight night that the school will be hosting in the spring, and then various other after-school types of activities for grade 8. So that's exciting. So wanted to make sure you're aware of that. So you have heard from virtually every administrator in their report about snow days. So let's talk snow days. So looking at our calendar, we have had 4 days already that we've used. 3 were for snow days, 1 was for illness days. And so that brings us to having the last student day on June 15th, Thursday, June 15th, and the last staff day is that Friday, June 16th. So if we don't want to have staff or students have to make up days going into the following week, the week of June 20th, we just need to start thinking about how we want to make up our days. Now, the Department of Education provides us direction on what and how we can go about making up days. So I just want to briefly kind of review what our options are, and then I'd like to have some feedback from all of you to see what you think and what your preference would be. So our options are, one, the school district, well, what we can do is we can take 5 school days and extend those 5 school days by 1 hour. 5 hours actually makes up for a snow day in the eyes of the Department of Education. So we've done this before. It's certainly doable. It does create some hardships, so I just want you to make sure that you're aware of what some of those hardships are. Some of our staff, they have second jobs. So when school goes later, so for elementary, it goes late as 4 o'clock. That certainly creates a hardship for some. I think it's a pretty good option for many of our families, but it's understanding that's a pretty long day for some of our elementary students, especially the really young students. And so you would say, well, what's just 1 more hour? But it can be really tough on both students and on our elementary staff. If we do this, it will be difficult for our ed techs who work more than 5 hours to be able to make up those additional hours. So if they work 6, 7, 8 hours in a day, we'd have to find an alternative way for them to make up those days. And that is tough unless you as a board decide, just make up your 5 days and we won't worry about the rest of the time. That is definitely an option. The same thing is true for our bus drivers. If we make up the days by extending school days by 1 hour, how are we going to pay them for the additional day that they would technically have to work? How is that going to be handled? We talked at the beginning of the year about remote days and said that we were allowed to do remote days in the last couple of years because the federal government had a waiver in regards to school nutrition, that no longer held true unless a school district actually wanted to pay for meals. In my mind, I was thinking, $10,000 a pop, but we've gone back and we've really looked at this a little more closely. And according to Linda, typically we sell about 1,250 lunches a day, and the price per meal is $2.50. So the cost for a remote day, if we were to hold one, and that meant as a district, we would be responsible for paying for the meals for food service, it would cost you $3,125, I would say at a max. In the past, when we provided meals for students who were working remotely, we actually had fewer students take advantage of that. So I would suspect that the number would be lower. Let's see, a challenge with the remote day is if we're going to call a remote day, the decision has to be made the day prior to, and the call has to be made late morning, middle of the day at the latest, because you have to give your food service department the time to actually make the meals, right? And then distribute the meals so that the students can take them home. The downside for that, and I know we saw it last year, the year before in another school district, is that it really looked like the weather was gonna be bad. It looked like we'll probably have a cancellation. And then everyone went to school except that one school because they had a remote day. So that risk does exist if you're going to do a remote day. You can't have a remote day on a Monday because you have no way of getting the meals to the students the day in advance. Remote days are sometimes really hard on parents. Many parents are still working. So if their child has to do some type of schoolwork, it's difficult if no one is there to monitor that work. And some students are still going to daycare. So that now that burden is put on the daycare to help the student complete their work. What else? Again, bus drivers, food service, ed techs, they won't have anything to do. So how do we provide compensation for them? Do we have them make up the day at the end of the school year? What would that look like to make sure it was meaningful? Or do they not have to make that time up? You can also take, as a third option, we could take 2 early release days and turn them into full student days. If you do that, however, it would require all staff to make up school at the end of the school year, right? So there'd be an additional workshop day or something for teachers. I know that this is not something that the association supports. They want to be able to make up the day the same way that the students are making up the day, and they all have summer jobs as well or other commitments, and lengthening their work year is especially difficult for them. The other thing is we already have our early release days planned. Those are professional development days. And so we have 3 early release days left. One coming up on February 17th. The district has already contracted with an organization to provide some professional development at the high school and the middle school. And at the elementary school, we've already promised that they will be able to dedicate some much needed time to planning and working collaboratively with their teammates. Very similar on March 16th on that early release day. And when you get into May, the staff, they're meeting to prepare for the next school year, looking at student schedules and doing all of that preparation. So, I mean, of those 3 options, this would be my least favorite. I think it's most impactful on the district. And then my last note on this is just a reminder that the week of June 20th, we now have a holiday that week, Juneteenth. And so if we have staff working that particular week, then you're also going to be obligated to compensate staff for a paid holiday. That's a lot of information. I hope I've really kind of outlined and provided to you all of the benefits and the challenges. I don't know, what are your thoughts? Can you give me some feedback on?
I actually liked option 3 till you said that, Pat. Right, because I was just thinking from the other side of my head as a mom, but I work at home, so I have that advantage, and I know most people don't. I think expecting people to do remote days is a tough one, and then expecting people to give extra hours, that happened when I was here, and it was fine, but it was a little not wonderful for the elementary student I had at the time. But I also want to be aware of what the staff and the teachers need and get that too. So I don't know, it's a tough balance between the two. Yeah.
The best option is to not have any more snow.
I
days,
know,
but We
exactly.
can't control the weather.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Jim.
This is a little bit outside of the box, but could we buy pre-packaged meals and pass them to students like in December? So they would have a reserved meal at home? So we wouldn't have to cook a meal? Or prepare a meal?
There are regulations regarding when you distribute this food. So we cannot distribute it at the beginning of the school year, say, and just say, set that aside for whenever we have a remote day. That is not acceptable. Can we purchase prepackaged? Well, it would depend what that prepackaged food is. Linda has very strict nutritional guidelines that she has to follow. And I'm not sure if purchasing prepackaged food would actually meet the guidelines that she must comply with. I don't know.
Going to some supermarket and doing, I'm wondering if there's a company that produces these that would meet all the criteria that we have to meet to supply these meals to our students.
I don't know the
When
answer.
they distributed it, like, to be honest with you, they were kind of pre-done sandwiches and a fruit and whatever, so they are.
We made those ourselves.
But we had to put them in the bags. I don't want to
Yeah.
discount what they did, right? But they could choose things that were already prepared in a small package. They just had to be used in an amount of time, like a sandwich of fruit. They
Oh,
could
I see
cover
what
off,
you're
you know what I
saying,
mean? Like not a uncrustable or something, but like a sandwich that you could take a few days and then you had a fruit and a milk and a juice. So you covered all the bases. And it was in a lunch bag, right? And yeah, but that would be preparing to order those for enough
Yeah.
1,200 to do it, right? And then put
Right.
them together.
And I
yeah,
have to distribute the food the day in
the day,
advance.
yeah.
Matt?
Frankly, I think out of any of the options, option 1 is probably the best because everybody's here. People can adjust their schedule. So not everyone, but for an hour a day, it's not all that much time. And you don't necessarily have to do it consecutively, right? You can do it like one day a week.
Yeah. Historically, we've done it one day a week and we, in the past, we chose Thursday.
Yeah, that
Found that
makes sense.
Thursday was better. Then they only had one day, right? They only had a Friday that they had to get through.
And families can plan on it.
Correct, if they can plan on it every single week. Now, the only challenge with that is when you start counting the calendar. If we make up 2 days, that's 10 weeks. So when you start backing up 10 weeks, we're into March. Right, so what if we've had snow days in April before? Okay,
sure.
Yeah, maybe we
so
can't.
if that happens, we might have to have maybe a week, which we did once before, and I know no one liked that, they were exhausted. Or you have a Tuesday and a Thursday. We might have to be a little bit more creative than just having one day a week. And I know that that is impactful on especially the younger children.
I was gonna say the same thing with Matt, the option to see the least impactful to the staff of all the schools and stuff is the hour a day. And I thought it was Wednesdays, but I remember just a few years ago with the rainstorm, all the power outages, we did it and it didn't seem like a huge deal. Again, I wasn't a kid, but my son managed to stay awake when I hoped he stayed awake.
I mean, not only that, they can, I mean, that hour doesn't necessarily have to be book time. Or
No,
it could
lots
be,
of creative.
you could do a lot of creative, fun things with the kids and
Could you use those 2 half days at an hour? Not to be devil's advocate.
I'm sorry, can you
The
say?
2 half days that are left that aren't scheduled with someone. And it's not convenient because it's lunchtime when they leave early, but the 2 half days, could those be an additional hour? And then it wouldn't be so late or not really?
No, I need to come up with 5 hours.
Okay,
So if you have an early release day, we can get 3 hours. And then I need 2 hours from another early release day.
so we couldn't just tack 1 hour on each early release day, that's my point, and count it as 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see what
I
you're
don't know if that's
saying.
better or worse than the hour of the day, because it's not as late in the day, right? It's like.
Right.
oh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
see what you're
yeah.
saying.
still get
I
your
mean,
early.
maybe that is something I'd want to work with the
Yeah.
administrative
Right,
team and,
that's.
and
I mean, it just doesn't, the option one just doesn't impact lunch. It doesn't really, I mean, an hour is, I mean, you could stand on your head for an hour if you had to.
Could we mix and match 1 early release and then 2 extended days?
I do worry about the loss of the early release days,
they're-
given that we're asking staff. Well, we have staff who really need, administration wants to say something.
Yeah.
So I'm getting the look.
Can they,
Like here.
can they?
Yes, absolutely, they
Yeah.
can say something.
Teacher workshop day, and instead of having a day.
The difficulty with that is we already have lots of people who have planned on that day off. And so they've already booked trips and vacations. And so then you're going to have a number of staff members who aren't available. So they're not planning on having to use personal days that they may no longer have. It's, there's an added complication to that. And I don't know if you have enough subs to cover for all of.
Like the April vacation.
Yes, it abuts April vacation. So,
Can they start 30 minutes early and stay 30 minutes late?
so if they start 30 minutes early, we have students here at 7 in the morning.
So do that.
We already have high school, middle school kids struggling to be focused
Right.
and ready to learn at 7:30. I really think a 7 o'clock start would be tough. It would result in our buses being on the roads at 5:30 a.m. That's early, dark.
That is early.
Weekends are out of the question.
Weekends are not out of the question if
So you
you
could,
want.
you could do Saturday and maybe do like a class day.
You could do a Saturday. I don't know how many kids you're going to get to come
Well,
on a Sunday.
That's their problem.
But
They
it's
don't wanna come.
also,
How many do you have to get to show up to make it count as like an
you need-
actual
you
day?
need 50%.
50%?
You have
We
that.
can do that.
I also think about the impact on our teachers, right? And our staff.
Yeah. we don't know.
They're already working so hard 5 days a week. All due respect,
Well, the
they
7
need
days a
to
week,
have
would say.
a
Yeah.
couple days
24 hours.
off.
You just gotta
Right?
pick your poison.
Yeah.
None of these options are great.
Yeah, Alyssa's point, added an hour to the early release days. Would that still allow enough time for them to get in what they need to get in?
That's what I'm wondering.
Like, if we get into a position where we gotta make up 2 snow days, that's 10 days you gotta
That's a
extend by an hour. If you extended the early release day by an hour, it's still an early release. There's still some time to do some professional development,
That
but
is,
I don't know the impact on the administration, but that could be an
that,
option too.
that is something I hadn't thought about, and it's a conversation I'd want to have with the administration before a decision was made.
Yeah.
But that certainly is something that could be considered.
If you're in the position where you're looking to make up 2 days, that's a lot of extra hours.
Right. I mean, right now, we don't have to make up any days.
Right.
We're good. But the very next snow day, we're gonna have to think
Yeah.
about making it up. The other question that I have in here, though, is when you start making up snow days, say we go with just an extending each day by an hour, you're going to have your bus drivers. How do they make up that additional time, or some of your ed techs? How do we go about doing that?
Give them a waiver.
Do we just, that's a
I think that's
possibility. We just give them a
appropriate.
waiver? Okay.
It's not their fault.
Circumstance, right?
Can't mess with Mother Nature.
We're teetering on the edge of one more snow day, and it's January,
Right.
and it's New England. Like, sorry, it is February.
January.
Early February.
And I don't know what the results were this morning. Are we having 4 or 6?
Six, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's
he's
40%
meteorologist that wrote it.
Um,
Better than-
Are we leaning forward to do this proactively, like just if we decide or the administration that we want to do the hour extra and just start doing that, so we're not always behind you for all the stuff that happens next week?
If you give me some direction on your preference, I would go back and work with the administration and the associations to kind of talk about a strategy, a plan.
I think that's
so-
appropriate, and we don't push into the week with the new holiday, because that's practically the middle of the summer, it feels like
Yeah.
already, right? So,
Again,
yeah.
you
It'll
have
be
camps that are
Exactly.
beginning,
Yeah.
many people start jobs,
Yeah.
right? Students, staff, and so I want to be respectful of their time.
If staff doesn't mind getting put on the spot, like I did 2 years ago when it came to school testing, which preference are you guys leaning towards? The extra hour, the remote day, which I think.
I don't think anybody wants to.
Bad,
do a room.
we have to talk about it,
I know.
or cutting into professional development. You don't have to. One thing.
I,
I'd be curious. if teachers, there may have been a survey that went out. I'd be interested to know if they would do that. I don't like it.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got 3 kids. It's almost impossible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
One's not bad.
It's just really tough.
When do you have to know something? I mean, do you need a recommendation this evening? Or do we talk about this at our next meeting, a little more knowledgeable?
Well,
Or do you need to approve, or can you just say, I talked to the staff said this, we're gonna go with this route?
well, it's a calendar change potentially, and the board always approves calendar changes. But
take
I would love for you to give me enough flexibility. I feel like I have guidance here. That there seems to be some sense that the best option is lengthening the workday in some fashion. And so if you could give me that flexibility to figure out how to go about doing that, working with both the staff and the administration. I mean, they have information and knowledge that will impact how we go about it above and beyond what I have. They're on the ground, they know more of the ins and outs.
I'd like to make a motion to that effect,
I'll second it.
so we give you some leeway and
Yep.
make a decision that
That doesn't wait a
you
month.
can live with.
Great, awesome.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Oh,
Great. Chad, did you have something?
Thank you.
Same line as what I was talking about, is using the total release days. Confident some of that time.
Thanks. Okay, we'll look at that. Well, thank you all. I really appreciate that. All right, just wanted you to know then that we are once again losing our school resource officer. So, Officer Quintana has officially resigned from the Gardner Police Department, effective Thursday, February 9th. He is going to be joining the Maine State Police. So kudos to him. That is fantastic. I certainly hope that he is happy in his new position. But we are very sad to have Sam leave us. Sam has been just fantastic. The relationships that he has built with all of the administrators, with teachers, with students, has been so impactful. And he is definitely going to be missed. I want you to know that the city of Gardner, the manager reached out to me just to make sure that I knew that the city remains committed to providing SRO services to the district. That he will be speaking with the interim director, the interim chief to kind of figure out how to do that. I really stressed how we want to continue having a relationship with the city. That's worked well for us for years. However, I also indicated how difficult it's been this year, having the SRO pulled from the schools. And so I would like more of a commitment of having the SRO remain with us. And if that isn't something they're able to do, all for legitimate reasons, then I want to be able to explore other law enforcement agencies. I hope that it doesn't come to that. I really want us to stay with Gardner. They've been great to work with.
Worked well up until recently.
Yeah, it really has.
What are the alternatives? Are you talking about state police? Are you talking about?
County.
Sheriff?
Sheriff's Department.
Now, you know, and even if I explored others, doesn't mean we would actually be able to hire. All of the law enforcement agencies are really struggling to hire officers. So it's a statewide, nationwide issue, so. All right, then the last thing I have is I wanted to give you an update on the status of our strategic planning process. The conversations are wrapping up. They went much longer than what we had initially intended, but we have decided that they will definitely conclude the week of February 13th. To date, we've had 20 conversations that have involved around 120 people. We have a few more that are scheduled, so this number will increase. And while this is half the number of the people that we had hoped to involve, for those who were here 10 years ago, when we held this in person, this is still 50 more people than the most traditional approach that we've used, and it's far broader representation. I mean, when we came together before, I think there were 2 students versus this time we've had how many? 6 groups of 6. So about 36 students that we've had participate. Right. And last time we also only had a handful of teachers. And so once again, or staff members, we've had a lot more staff members participate. So I'm still very happy with the outcome. There is a next step now. Okay, the next step is what we call sense making, and we're gonna have a sense making session. So we have scheduled one on February 28th from 4 to 5:15. That's a little tight. It is right before finance.
And it's right before the 8th grade step up thing for 2 hours.
Well,
We have 3 meetings then.
there's
I
so
know.
many meetings, there's only so much we can do.
Yep.
And the second one would be from 6 to 7:30 that same day. That particular one will be for community members and parents, including board members, those of you who originally participated. And it will give you an opportunity to kind of see the artificial intelligence analysis from your conversation, the group that you were with. You will get to use online tools to kind of highlight what you feel is most important for us to hear from the conversation. It will give you a chance to share additional insights that you may have if you wish to do so. And it will help you to explore conversations from the entire listening project. We will then, on March 16th. Let me make sure I'm right, March 16th. Which is the third. Yes, it is the third Thursday in March. We sometimes have a board workshop. We're going to use that board workshop. I'd like to maybe make the meeting around 5 o'clock versus 6 o'clock. And Jennifer Chase will be there. And she will be compiling and really pulling together all of the information from the sense making. And she will be presenting to the board the information that we've gleaned from this process for you to start thinking about, and how do we turn that into a strategic planning document. Great. Okay, so if you could mark your calendars for March 16th. Can we make 5 o'clock? And if we can make 5 o'clock work, we'll see about bringing in dinner. How's that?
If you
Right?
feed them, they will come.
Right, we'll feed you. And yeah, make it a working dinner. Okay,
Okay, so the first one is
the 28th. So you need to be at the 4 o'clock one because you have finance at 5:30.
sure do.
I keep her in line
good.
Or is it
Sure does.
here.
Right here?
Mhm.
Okay.
Right in this room?
Yes,
Both of them, Pat? Is that your intention?
no, not in this room. February 28th.
No,
No. Yeah, that's at 6.
Okay, it may be in a different room.
But if I'm here already, I'll just stay for 4 hours. I'll be.
We'll figure out the location. We'll figure out the location.
I'm a little bit confused on, I was one of the participants.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Are we supposed, am I supposed to be at the 4 o'clock? Which I would prefer to be, or the 6 o'clock?
It would be your choice.
But you're on finance.
Yes,
And
I understand.
members who participated will have a choice. of
Keeping you in
being
line.
In person or
Right,
virtual.
yeah.
We'll do
Perfect.
either. Okay,
Cool.
So
That's
March 16th, we're here too.
we'll be in the boardroom.
Okay.
So we'll have to figure out that night. I asked Stephanie to schedule. And she didn't get back to me saying it was a conflict, so I just made an assumption we were okay. So we'll figure out a space. Okay. All right, that is my very lengthy report. I know, it's a lot of words. I know a lot of words, sorry.
That's okay. All right. They're all good words.
Yeah. That one together.
Now, executive sessions.
Now we have an yes, a couple of executive sessions.
And there will be no vote coming out of either executive session.
These are just information only,
Correct.
keeping you guys up to speed.
What about this one? People are like,
Thank you all so much